Okay, I'm going to assume that, yeah, this is the next frame here. Okay, so continuing on what I was saying. All right, so I hope that makes some sense, though, about the C16, the clarity, C16 legislation that passed in Canada, Jordan Peterson, how the social justice warrior type individual doesn't like clear-minded thinking. It's sort of like it's almost like they like to establish clarity only to create chaos and to actually acquire a sense of power towards what they want. Okay, so in other words, there was this movement in the diet world by this SJW type, where it was a women's body positive movement or something like that, where women should be accepted, or hey, there's nothing wrong with being obese, etc., etc. Well, science shows that there is something wrong with being obese in the sense that it can lead to hypertension, stroke, heart attack, and in that sense, there's something wrong with it, right? And so, as there's been a hierarchy of structure leading to this, we now know that it's not good. We say, okay, heart attack at a young age is not good. Just like me, like someone says, hey, you know what, take steroids, Jacob. And I say, well, look, steroids are expensive, there's side effects, and they're illegal, okay? That's not good. The people say, okay, yeah, that doesn't sound good. Well, it's not good. But if I wanted to be like a SJW type, I'd say, well, who are you to tell me? Not even arguing that, well, I'm going to take the risk, right? I know that's not good, but I'm going to take the risk. SJW type mentality would say, well, who are you to tell me that breaking the law is bad? Who are you to tell me that, side effects are bad? Maybe I want side effects, So this is like, it's an argument to create chaos. It's not really valid towards a sort of a sincere conclusion. It's just more like a argument to have one. Okay, so furthermore, like for example, I read Jocko Willink's book. It's called Discipline Equals Freedom. And if I wanted to argue that, I'd say, well, discipline is also self-oppression. I want to eat pizza, and why should I get in my own way of that? That's a type of self-oppression. And you know what? The fact that he wrote that book makes me want to, be against you, Jocko Willink, you Navy SEAL, ex-Navy SEAL, where in reality, the book was written not to create attention or oppression. The book was created to help somebody maximize their results, okay? So you want a bigger business? Well, what are you going to do? Are you going to wake up early to start working on your business earlier in the day, right? That's question number one. He's all about waking up early. Discipline equals freedom. In other words, we often want this, right? But to look at oneself and say, is there a level of self-sacrifice occurring to obtain it? These are better questions than to question the system all the time, right? There is a level where questioning a system is a valid point, but until we look at ourselves and say, okay, well, what am I really not doing? I'd love for a lot of engagement on YouTube. I would love for, my business of Advocare to be already blooming beyond, belief, and people educated and drinking their fiber and having probiotics and omegas. And I would love people, I would love my leadership to be duplicated and stuff like this, but I can't look at the systems and just blame them. There has to be a level of accountability to oneself that says, okay, well, maybe it's not the systems that are the problem. Maybe it is me. Maybe it is what I'm doing. In 2012, I often tell a story, and those that have read Connecting the Dots, volumes 1 through 15, I've written it down many times, where I was in my office and my company had grown to a certain level, and I was like, well, I'm not growing, and I promised you the conclusion I came up with. I said, well, in order to make this company grow, I'm gonna have to be less about myself and more about leadership and more about, being a true example of the higher ideals of leadership. And that plus breakups I was going through, and there was a breakup I was going through, I said, well, look, And also with that, here I'm going through this breakup, and maybe there's something to it. Maybe this is life telling me that I need to become a better person. Like, it wasn't just, well, life's unfair. You see, and this SJW type mentality is consistently going to the life's not fair. And not even just that, not even just like writing a song about it or something like that. It's just to try to enforce it through politics or enforce others. How would you have liked it if I, said, okay, well, my life, my business isn't growing and I'm going through a breakup. So that means that nobody should have a relationship, a committed relationship. Because if you say that you're in a committed relationship and I say I'm not, that's offensive to me. That's a hate crime. That's what I'm getting at, where it's at some point we have to be self-accountable. We can't just immediately go to the knee-jerk reaction to blame an external world. Okay, like I jokingly said when Caitlyn Jenner had chosen to be a woman, I said, okay, well, can I? And then there was this, that was like, okay, well, that's one thing. And then shortly after, there was a white woman who came out and said, I want to be a black woman, right? And she claimed to be black, right? And so then naturally my next progression was, okay, so you're saying that, can I be a tiger? Like, I've always liked tigers. I've always resonated with tigers. I always thought, wow, so cool to be a tiger. Now, so there's a level of validity to my question because I've always resonated with the tigers, right? But I've just known I'm not, that's just scientifically not true. But I did resonate with tigers. So I said, well, am I a tiger then? Can I be a tiger? Now, and that's where kind of like, I think that now if you look at the legislation of C-16, you see that. I think people saw that rationale, their logic, and they're like, okay, well then let's just defend. If someone wants to call themselves a worm, then they're a worm. And that's where it gets like really weird, okay? Because it's like, okay, like, see, if you look back 10 years ago or more, like I used to work with somebody that was transitioning into a woman, and I won't go into his name, or he was a man at one point and he wanted to transition to a woman, and I think in the end he chose not to. Like, he was taking hormones, he kind of was already getting breast tissue and everything like this, and he chose not to. I don't know, it was an expense thing. I think he had to come up with some money to get an operation done, et cetera, so and I think he chose not to be a woman at that time. But yeah, I mean, I remember having a beer with this individual, and this was again over 10 years ago, and I was like, we just talked a little bit, and I said to myself, okay, well, this person wants to be a woman, whatever. Like, it wasn't a thing. Like, it wasn't like he was a coworker, so it wasn't like this big issue. It's just, this person's transitioning into this. It is what it is, right? And that's what I'm saying. We've already, on some level, we've already accepted that there is already an acceptance of that to a large degree. At that time I was from a small town. This was a small town, whereas this isn't like a big metropolitan city where then people would say, okay, well, naturally, in a place like that, that's accepted. No, this is a small town. So again, they're really, so to go to the extent to make it illegal to call someone, to not refer to someone as he or him, or try to give them a case, or now you're going to catch a charge, or there's a hate crime, now you can serve jail time, et cetera, et cetera. That is the epitome of tyranny. So just keep that in mind. I want to start wrapping up that subject, but I went into it connecting the dots. I wanted to, first and foremost in today's video, is tell those people that read my newsletter back in 2014, 2015, sorry I haven't written. There's too much that went on, like to the point where 2017, and oh my lord, I mean, that was a real exile, dude. It really was. 2017 was extremely challenging, and yeah, I just needed a time to regroup. I've tried my best to shoot the videos in 2016. Here we are picking it up, and I said, you know what? Let me make connecting the dots. Okay, so here we go. It's good to, thanks for tuning in, and look forward to comment on this stuff if you like. Yeah, peace. Bye.